First off, it's Monday. We have 7 days left in the semester. Okay? So today we're going to talk about solving some more equations. Tomorrow we don't have class, no formative. Wednesday we're going to talk about word problems. Thursday we're going to talk more about word problems, and we're going to start reviewing. Thursday I will also be giving you the final review packet, okay? In preparation for your final. What else? Thinking of something else. Yeah, and then Friday's our test. And then Monday, next week Monday, we're talking just questions on the final. Next week, Tuesday, yes, we don't have class. Okay? But it's conflict res day in the mid-morning to early afternoonish. And then last year, we haven't been officially heard this, but I'm guessing it's very similar to last year's schedule, where then 1 o'clock-ish, teachers have the opportunity to have study sessions for finals, which I will be offering a study session then starting at 1 o'clock. I'll get you more details on that later on. Okay? And then your final is on Thursday, day 2 of finals, period 1. Okay? So later on this week we'll talk, if you have a conflict with your final, we'll talk about that. So, that's not till later. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns about that? So Friday test, homework all the way through, all good in the hood? Love it. Alright, so plenty of work to be done here on those 2 problems. So let's get those 2 problems going. So on Friday, we talked about 4 steps to solving these type of equations. What were the 4 steps to solving these types of equations? Four steps from Friday. What do you got? Isolate was the first one. Second one. Switch forms was the second one. Third one. Solve was the solve my new equation. Fourth one. Check it. Okay. Any one of them skippable? No, right? Okay. All of them have the exact same amount of weight towards the final goal of solving the problem. Okay. Step number 1 sometimes is skippable because it's already been done for us. Okay. Right? But that's the only one. But they all have the same weight. Isolate, switch, solve, check. Okay? So, in example A, is the exponented term or the logarithmic term isolated? Yes or no? No. So what do we got to do first? Divide by 4. So that gives me then e to the 3x power equals 1/4. Is the exponented or logarithmic term now isolated? Yeah. Okay. So step number 1 is done. Step number 2 says now I've got to switch forms. What's my new equation then after I switch forms? What do you got, Steve? Natural log, you mean? Okay, I thought you said normal log. Okay, natural log. That's why I'm like normal log. Natural log of 1/4 equals 3x. Love it. Okay? What's the natural log of 1/4? Right? Then what? Divide both sides by 3. I get negative 0.46209812. We said on Friday we're rounding to 3 decimal places, so that would round to negative 0.462. Okay? Now what? Check it. Okay? So if I go negative 0.462 and I multiply that by 3, I get negative 1.386. If I take e to that power, I get 0.25007361, multiply that by 4, and I get 1.000294404. Is that acceptable in our minds? Yes? Why is it acceptable? Because that's not equal to 1. Why is that acceptable? Why is it close enough? What's rounded? We rounded for our answer, and I used that answer in the wrong. If I would have left it on my calculator and multiplied by 3, took e to that one, I would have gotten 1 exactly. Okay? So if you leave it on your calculator, as you're working backwards, you'll get the exact answer. If not, it's going to be close. Okay? Part B, isolated, not isolated. Isolated, not isolated. Isolated, okay? Switch forms. 3 to the 5th equals x. 3 to the 5th power is? Log base 3 of 243. So that would be log or natural log of 243 divided by log or natural log of 3. Gets me 5. Questions, comments, concerns, hyperboles? I will give you some time to go through this one. 5 minutes enough? Wasn't quite 5 minutes. I shut her down at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay? Rat, talk to me.
You gotta get both logs to one side.
To one side, right? Because it's not a log equals log case because of that +1 sitting on the end, right? So if I'm going to condense those logs like we did on Friday when it was a log, 2 or more logs with extra stuff problem, okay? So if I'm going to condense those logs, I need to have the logs on the same side. So I'm going to subtract log of x minus 2 from both sides. gives me log of x minus 5 minus log of x minus 2 equals 1. Yes? Huh? How am I going to combine those two logs then? How am I going to condense them? How am I going to condense them? Nope, because it's not a log equals log case. Roberto. Use the quotient property that we had on Friday, right? Because it's log minus log, right? So the quotient property says that I've got log of x minus 5 divided by x minus 2 equals 1. Yes? See if the quotient property from Friday? Now, my question is, have I isolated my log term? Or is my log term isolated? Where do I look? In front, nothing. Below, nothing. Above, nothing. Behind, nothing. So is my log term isolated? Yes. Okay. Step 2. Switch forms. Okay. Laney, what's my base? What? 10. Okay. What's my exponent? Exponent? 1. Equals x minus 5 over x minus 2? First is 10. Okay. How am I going to solve that? Algebraically. How would I solve that? No? Multiply both sides by x minus 2 to get rid of the fraction. Yep. So if I multiply by x minus 2 on both sides, the left side I get 10x minus 20. The right side I get x minus 5. Yes? Now what? Gives me 9x equals 15. X equals 5/3. Yes? Okay. Now what do we got to do? second, correct? Five-thirds minus 5. Shouldn't have to use a calculator for this one. Five-thirds minus 5. Negative 10/3. Log of negative 10/3. Shouldn't have to use a calculator on this one either. Why not? Because it's negative, right? That number, this number right in here, has to be positive and not equal to 0. Okay? So, not possible, correct? Questions, comments, concerns, hyperbola. Go for it. Again, I'll give you the 5. So, this one, log equals log case, correct? Right? So I can just forget about the logs and just set the arguments equal to each other. So that gives me 3x squared minus 3 equals negative x minus 7. Yes? A fifth. Now what do I got to do? Got to get it equal to 0. So are you going to be okay if I add x and add 7? Okay. That gives me 3x squared plus x plus 4 equals 0. Now what are my two choices? Factor it or quadratic formula, right? If it's not factorable. Okay? Is it factorable? Nope, it's not factorable. So that means we got to do quadratic formula on it. Okay? So that's going to be x equals the opposite of b plus or minus big square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. 4 times 3 times 4 is 48. So this would be negative 1 plus minus the square root of negative 47 all over 6. Or more simply, negative 1 plus minus I times the square root of 47 all over 6. Now what? How will we check it? I don't either. Because it's an imaginary number, right? It does say no solution. Can't take the log of an imaginary number. Just imaginary numbers aren't positive. They're imaginary. ready for it? Oh, I missed. There it is. What fifth? You want 6 on this one? Or 7?
7.
7? Okay, I'll jump the timer up to 7. Okay, talk to me. Yeah.
You're going to use the product property.
I'm going to use the product property now that we got it written down in our notes from last week, Friday. Okay? So then that's going to be, I'm going to combine these two, and I'm going to go log base 2 of x minus 3 times x plus 1 equals log base 2 of 6x minus 18. Yes? Okay. Now, what kind of a case am I in? Log equals log. So I just take the arguments and I set them equal to each other. So this becomes x minus 3 times x plus 1 equals 6x minus 18. X minus 3 times x plus 1?
X
Anybody?
squared minus 2x minus 3.
Next step, set it equal to 0. So I'm going to have to subtract 6x and add 18 at the same time. X squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 0. Factorable to what? Minus 3 and minus 5. So I get x equals 3 and x equals 5. Right? Now what do I got to do? I got to check it. So I got to go all the way back to the original problem. And first I got to check 3. So that's going to be log base 2 of 0 plus log base 2 of 4 equals log base 2 of 0. Yes? Log base 2 of 0, what's that equal to? I know log base 2 of 4, that's equal to 2. What do you mean domain error? Why not? What are my 2 rules? Can't be negative, right? It's got to be positive. Is 0 positive? No, 0 is kind of its own little thing. Okay? So this and this are where it fails. So what about 3? 3's out. Okay? Now we got to check 5. So this would be log base 2 of 2 plus log base 2 of 6 equals log base 2 of 12. Right? Log base 2 of 2 is 1. Log base 2 of 6 is 2.585. Log base 2 of 12 is 3.585. 1 plus 2.585 is 3.585. 3.585 is 3.585. Yep. What?
Give me 1 second.
Make sure you're typing it in right.
I'm trying to figure it out.
What's up?
Well, there would be 2 answers. So there's
Possibly.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. All right. So that takes out, or that means 5 works. So x equals 5. Questions, comments, concerns? What? I change it to hyperboles and onomatopoeias and haikus and soliloquies and
I gave it a mark all the time.
prose and good. All right. So what I want you to do now is you've got a brown worksheet from Friday that's due. When you pass it up, I will pass back today's 6.3 worksheet.